This is 5 Star Life Radio on News Talk 95.3 Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Welcome back to 5 Star Life Radio, brought to you by Global Link Distribution, a supplier to the RV, manufactured housing, cargo trailer, and cabinet shop industries, as well as Dometic, the ultimate outdoor equipment engineered for living. You can check them out at dometic.com. Both Dometic and Global Link Distribution are proud sponsors of 5 Star Life Radio. I'm Coach Seth. I'm actually joined, not in studio this time, but remotely with my co-host, Coach Mia.
Yes, thanks, Seth. So today's a little bit different because I was not a part of the recording since I'm on the road. So you're going to have to fill me in on what we learned today.
So, we taught a lesson. We're doing a series for students talking about how to restore self-confidence. And our entire theme of curriculum, we're doing 28 lessons, and the theme is restore, which means to bring back, to repair, to renovate. And after the last 2 years, I think that's a timely word for everybody, adults included. It's time to, because we put our goals, we put our dreams, we kind of put hope on the shelf, and we just left it there because anything that we kind of planned or hoped for was kind of taken away or shut down. It seemed like a lot of those things happened where we felt out of control. And it's really a message that I believe kids especially, they feel helpless often, like they can't, like their decisions and their planning is going to just come to nothing. And so we want to pump back into them is this idea that, you know what, now is the time to, we want to help you restore life, bring you back to health. And confidence is one of the most challenging aspects of teenage life, adolescent life. And as young kids, teaching them how to live confidently is such a huge key. So we start out by teaching a lesson that really just talked about, listen, one of the great confidence killers is negative self-talk. So we kill our own confidence when we use negative self-talk, when we just rip on ourselves, hate on ourselves, say things like I'm fat, I'm ugly, I could never learn that, I could never do that, or you know what, I have an attitude problem, or I have this. Just talking about our deficiencies is a problem. Now, if you are acknowledging the reality that, yes, you don't need to stick your head in the sand, and if you do have an attitude problem, if you do have a health challenge, if you do have some things going wrong, I'm not suggesting you stick your head in the sand. And the next lesson we taught was just to talk about, cut off the negativity, but you can talk about your challenges if you then are injecting hope. I may have an attitude issue, but, I'm making changes. I'm going to be better. I'm going to be more consistent. Or I have this health issue, but I'm going to start changing my diet. I'm going to start working out. It's always inputting hope into the equation, like that desire, that thing that you hope to see happen in your life. It's such a powerful part of building confidence. When we have no confidence, it's because we aren't hoping for anything. We don't believe, we don't have faith or hope that something better is awaiting us, and we feel like we're out of control. But that led us into today's lesson that we're teaching kids, and that is really this exciting part where we get to take some personal responsibility. And ultimately, I believe one of the keys to developing confidence is it's a game changer. I don't care if you're stuck battling depression, you have the blahs, or you actually want to go to a different level in your career, or for kids in academics or in their sport or competition. One of the keys is this. One of the ways to restore confidence is by developing competence. Now, we had a special guest on 5 Star Life Radio last spring. Her name was Cindy. And Cindy, she's an Asian American businesswoman. She talked on this show about something really powerful. She said, competence builds confidence. And you think about that. Competence is the ability to do something successfully or efficiently. So if you grasp and are competent in math or in your job, or in certain parts of your job, you're going to be competent in math class. You're going to be confident in that math class and confident in your work. If you're competent at golf, well, you're going to be confident when you step on the golf course. Because I'm competent at the game of basketball, I can step in any gym anywhere, and I can step in there with some confidence, like, hey, I can play. The opposite is also true. If we don't have a competency in the game of golf or basketball, we don't step on the course or into the gym with any confidence. So this is why sometimes as adults, trying new things, like when you're kids, you're everything is hard, right? You're not great at anything when you're young. And somehow as we grow up, we start to lose that, and we shy away from it because we step into a new environment, and because we're not competent, we're not confident, and we just run away from it. And so one of the things that is really significant is thinking about, like, okay, as an adult, or if a student's listening, we just tell students, listen, the question you should be asking is, how do I develop competencies? Like, how do I get competent in something? So I have confidence in that. And the key is this. And there's one simple word. One simple word. And it's unfortunately like a dirty word. And the word is discipline. We love to hate the word discipline, which actually comes from a Latin word discipulus, which means pupil or disciple. You're a student. And so the concept is, I'm going to put myself in a position where I'm going to study, I'm going to learn, and I'm going to apply and practice everything I can until I master it. The goal is to master this or to develop a competency in it.
But why, can I say, why is that so hard?
Like the discipline or the competence or the whole process?
The word, I mean, when you say, the minute you say discipline, I think a lot of people check out because they're just like, I'm just not disciplined.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's part of the problem. When you say, I'm just not disciplined. Well, there's a lot that goes into thinking about discipline, but discipline is a simple action. It's a choice. And you can think about it this way. Think about, like, we've talked on this program, we teach kids all the time, the power of imagination, right? The power of having a vision. Now, the imagining, the vision part is the exciting part, right? And you think about, let's just think about this. Like, if discipline is the key to developing competence, and competence builds confidence, I want to focus on the word build. So think about a building. Think about a building project near you. When you go by it, you see contractors, you see electricians, you see carpenters, you see masons, and then you see landscapers putting it all together. But, it's interesting that an architect and the owner worked together to develop a master plan, a blueprint. They had a vision for that building. And those workers, those contractors, they don't just show up and start doing stuff. That's not what they do. They show up and they follow everything according to that master plan, that blueprint. And the issue with discipline, the rub with discipline is this. The reason discipline is so hard is because we lose sight of the blueprint. We lose sight of the vision. And what happens is, and we talked about this with Lori, at one point, she had vision. She had a big dream. But the grind of life, it just takes over. And if we're not careful, we lose sight of that blueprint. We lose sight of that exciting vision. And now we're just caught up in doing stuff. And so now discipline becomes a dirty word because it's like, okay, I just need to do stuff. Well, it's not about doing stuff. It's about the vision. And if those workers show up and they just hope the building gets built. No, they've got to put the nails in. They've got to bring in the dirt. They've got to bring the rocks and start patching it together. They've got to they have to do the work. Discipline is the work. And so this is where we get hung up big time. We show up in life going through the motions, and we get anxious, we get depressed, we get in the doldrums, we feel stuck, we get frustrated, and it's because we've lost sight of that vision, and we no longer remember why we get up every day. and we think what we're doing is meaningless. But if we can get back to the details, to the fundamentals, and understand that this discipline is actually going to pay dividends. Perfect example. So Mia, you know this about me. I'm a health nut. I love learning, and I love trying to be healthy. Like, I'm not perfect in any way, but I love the process. I love the journey. And right. I didn't come about that naturally. I stumbled into it. And this is the story of most people's health journeys. We don't really care about our health until we feel really unhealthy, until we come up with some diagnosis that's not good. And that's what happened for me. At 23, I started having headaches. And these headaches, I did what everybody else does when they have a headache. Just grab some pain reliever, pop a pill, and you feel better. And like, problem solved. We don't dig enough. So what happened is I started to get more headaches, and then I realized I need to get this checked out. Went to a doctor. They did a scan in my brain, in my head, and I had tumors growing. And long story short, I needed to have them surgically removed. That was the cause of the pain. It was actually inflammation. It was causing infection. It was actually blocking my sinuses. It was actually eroding the bone in my face away. And so they removed the tumors, and I felt great for about a year. But then the tumors started to grow back within 2-3 years. They were fully grown. Same problem. Back to square one. Now, at that point, I said, I'm going to be a pupil, a student of my own health. I want to learn everything I can about where could these tumors be coming from. My doctors couldn't tell me where they're coming from. They weren't any help in that. And so I took matters in my own hand. Every night after work, I would start researching what could be the cause of tumors. Found out that sugar and dairy products are often sources that lead to inflammation that leads to tumors. So now, Mia, I'm in this horrible position because now they say if you know the truth, it'll set you free. Well, maybe. You can know the truth, but now you have to make the decision. And the decision is, am I going to sacrifice dairy and sugar? Like, am I going to give them up? This is where discipline comes in. I had the knowledge of this could help me, but now do I care enough about my health? Am I willing to do something now that's going to pay off later? Or am I just going to be stuck in my feelings and letting my gut, my appetite, and my emotions and my bad habits lead the way for the rest of my life, which I may not be alive today if I would have made that change now or back then. So I made the choice, cut it. I was like an addict. I was literally shaking from sugar withdrawal. Every time a cookie passed me by or a brownie at a party, I had no clue how much these foods controlled me. It was unbelievable. But I experienced something interesting. Every time I disciplined myself to put the right stuff in my mouth and to say no to the wrong stuff, there was a reward. I felt strong. It was hard, but I felt strong. I felt like I was taking back control of my life. And research says that that's actually a neurotransmitter called dopamine that's released in our brains. Every time that you go to bed early when you know you should, and you get up early to work out, every time you say no to the donut or the Twinkie and eat something healthy, every time you apply yourself to discipline, dopamine is released in our brains, which is a neurotransmitter that is responsible for making you feel accomplished and happy and satisfied. So there's a reward center in the brain that will celebrate you, and you'll feel encouraged to continue the discipline just by simple action. Pretty simple, but pretty powerful. And I watched that take place in my life. And that was like 13 years ago, and I'm like headache-free and tumor-free. They've never grown back. I can breathe clearly. It's absolutely amazing. But it took discipline. I now have confidence in my health. I have confidence in my well-being. That's a powerful thing.
Well, you're also confident in taking care of your health.
Yeah. So
we don't look at it that way. That's
a great point. So what I do, I still believe, I mean, I have some incredible doctors that I follow and glean and learn from. But the internet's a powerful tool. There's so much great research on there that I've actually kind of become my own doctor. I'm like, okay, if a medical doctor can practice, I can practice for free too. I'm going to practice on myself with what I put in my body, which kind of takes us back to kind of our roots of humanity, of what we used to do. Pharmaceutical industry, they're selling us stuff to make us feel good and to help in the moment. And this other journey is just kind of like, okay, what will help us long term? What gets to the root of issues? It's been a whole different path. But yeah, I've gained so much confidence that I really kind of feel like I'm invincible. Like we can almost overcome any health challenge, because what I've found through research is that human beings are really tough to kill if you put the right stuff in them. So it's interesting. But I know we got a commercial break, so we got to take a quick break, and we'll come back with more 5 Star Life Radio after this.
This is 5 Star Life Radio on News Talk 95.3 Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station.